How's it going, gamers? Hope you guys are having a great week. To follow up with my video that I released on the gameplay on the Control Cloud version for the Switch, this video now is going to go through the performance mode. So most likely the reflections and the visual fidelity of the graphics mode is going to be pared down, and it's going to be, focusing mainly on high frame rate. Let's get started. Let's launch Control Cloud version. And I know for some of you guys that are downloading and trying this out, it is limited, right? You get to play it once in each version, then after that they lock you out. So pretty much you only get a few minutes to kind of test it out and see how it runs on your setup at home. And just keep in mind that the performance of this is really depending upon your internet connection. So the cloud server is going to be looking at your download speeds, and the bit rate's going to adjust appropriately based on the bandwidth that you have, right? So from the first video I noticed the bit rate was a little bit low in the beginning, but then it kind of picked up as the game progressed. But yeah, we'll go ahead and start and choose. Let me go ahead and choose now. Click on the OK with all the disclaimers, and then choose the trial version with the enhanced performance mode. Hit OK, and let's launch this thing. If my experience with other cloud services with game streaming, come into play, this game should be running a lot smoother. In the graphics enhanced mode, I can tell that the game was locked at 30 frames, and with the bandwidth, fluttering in and out, you can see the frame rate dipped probably in the mid 20s. So with some slight stuttering. So hopefully in the performance mode, because it's shooting at a high frame rate on the cloud servers, that even with the latency that's happening, streaming down onto my Switch here, that we should get a little bit more smoother gameplay, right? So let's go ahead and check some of the settings here. Really, I don't see any new settings. Like I said, everything's pretty much locked down on the back end, so you're not going to have the flexibility if you actually own the game, right? Because you're running the game on the cloud server on a very high-end PC. So they have a modified version of the game so that you don't mess with the settings too much from a performance level, right? So, but other than that, the loading times into the game hasn't been too bad. So I'm assuming they probably have solid-state drives that are running the game on the cloud.
This is going to be weirder than usual.
So we'll go ahead and start. The cutscenes are probably not going to see any difference, because I believe all the cutscenes, even though it's using in-game engine, it's predefined. So depending upon which mode you pick, I don't think you're going to see any difference in the movie cutscenes. It's only when you go straight into the actual gameplay. But one of the things I want to do now that I have video of both the performance mode and the graphics mode, I might create a third video where I do a side-by-side comparison, just to look at some of the finer details. But for the most part, if you've ever played this game on PC, even in performance mode, where if you don't have like a really good graphics card, or you don't have a card that supports ray tracing, I mean, the game still looks good. So I think it's a very minimal difference if you played it in performance or graphics mode. I think the biggest thing is the frame rate, and especially since this is a cloud version, you want to have that smooth gameplay, and I think as we get into the gameplay here, let's take a look and see what it looks like compared to the previous gameplay walkthrough that I did.
What is it called? The prison movie. The room's a cell, and the picture
Let's
is
go ahead and skip through all this.
and the ones that see it happen
And here we're going to get close into
and try to forget what they saw.
gameplay.
I'm here. Why did you
Let's go ahead and move her around. And yeah, so far I can tell the movements are a little bit more smoother on my end. I don't know how it's going to show up on the capture card, but it's definitely a lot smoother on my end playing it on the Switch. And again, I'm playing it on dock mode.
It's all in my head. There's no you.
Going through here. trying to mimic the same path that I did with the first walkthrough. But I mean, other than that, the model still looks good. Shadows and lighting are still there. The reflections, let me see here, seems to be a little bit muted. You can tell from the floor reflections. They definitely are muted. I'm just going off by memory right now, comparing this to the first time I played it in graphics enhanced mode. But yeah, the lighting's still pretty decent. But the reflections, you can definitely tell on the floor, are a little bit less dramatic, a little bit more muted in terms of. And you know what? Sometimes that is a much more realistic material reflection, especially with these floors. Sometimes, you know, when you get too much reflections, too much shine, it just looks too generic. You know, I rather have the dull, realistic look. And yeah, in this scene right here, I can definitely tell a difference. Like I said, I might do a third video to kind of compare side by side so that you guys can kind of see it between the two modes. But yeah, so far right now I'm actually happy with the performance. The frame rate's been really good. I haven't really seen any stutter on my end. Like I said, I don't know if it's gonna resonate well on the capture card, but definitely playing it right now, it's going through pretty smooth. And you know what? We'll go ahead and skip this cutscene and then go straight into moving on. Yeah, as you can see, I'm trying to check just from muscle memory, from just the reflections on the floor, because that seems to be the most obvious use of ray tracing and better reflections and illumination. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I think if you're the type of person that you know prioritizes gameplay over graphics, then definitely performance mode would be the mode to play this game in. It doesn't look like the sacrifices are that bad. You know, I think if anything, the graphics mode just gives it a little bit more polish. But again, at the cost of frame rate, right? And especially if you're going to be playing a cloud version of this. And from what I know, the cloud version of Control is going to cost $39.99, but it's going to give you unlimited access, which really doesn't say anything because for a cloud version, unlimited access, I mean, it's you're going to get to play the game up until they decide to remove it from the servers, right? So really, it's like a lease. You're not really owning the game. You're not really renting the game. You're actually, for $39.99, you're leasing the game until they feel that, you know, they don't need to put it on the servers anymore. So I mean, it would be safe to say that they'll have this game on the servers for at least a few years. Now, the interesting part is this is the Ultimate Edition, so if there are any additional modes, DLC down the road, are you going to get that with the Ultimate Edition, right? So that would be the question to ask. But yeah, I think, you know, for a lot of people that don't have the funds to build a really good PC, or if you guys aren't you know, getting the new generation consoles that are coming out in the Xbox and the PlayStation, you know, cloud gaming can be a huge alternative to playing some really good games because they're running on beefy servers that it would be, you know, very expensive for a person to individually invest in, right? That's why, like with Microsoft's xCloud, I'm very impressed with their infrastructure and their platform. And we all know Sony is using Microsoft Azure as their backend for their cloud offering. That was announced, I believe, a couple of years ago that they partnered with Microsoft and on the Azure side to handle the cloud infrastructure. So, you know, Microsoft and Sony's cloud offering is going to be pretty solid. I think Nintendo is a little bit of a you know, a question mark here because I don't think they have their own infrastructure that they'll use for cloud gaming. I think if anything, it's an option for third parties to put their games on the system in a fairly easy way without having to port it specifically for the machine. And we all know the Switch is underpowered compared to all the other machines. And, you know, the other machines, along with PC, they're all x86 architecture based, you know. So for having a mobile architecture the Switch is doing really good with games that do natively run on the Switch. So the cloud offering would be a really good option for people that play it in dock mode. For people that play it in handheld mode, right now it's dock, but it's connected via Wi-Fi. So I'm pretty sure it should be fine when you have a good Wi-Fi connection and a good internet connection, but not everybody has that, right? Not everybody has those good connections. So,
Toaster.
yeah, we'll go ahead and skip this and try to get into some more gameplay. This is the last part here, right before it times out. So you get a little bit more. I'm looking at the environment, and yeah, I can definitely tell a little bit of reduction, but other than that, the game still looks pretty good. It's definitely considered very current generation like something that you get from PlayStation 4 and Xbox. The next gen stuff, they're going to have the ray tracing patch and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's an alternative. If you want to play Control with ray tracing, you can play it with the graphics mode on. Just keep in mind that you're going to be again capped at 30 frames per second. But yeah, other than that, at least there's options, and that's the biggest thing, right? The biggest thing is whether you like cloud or not. It's an option for us gamers to either, if we want to play it, we can. If we don't, then we kind of vote with our pocketbooks, right? So yeah, so this is the Control version that I played with performance mode on. Definitely a big difference between this mode and the graphics enhanced mode. Put down in your comments what your thoughts are. Have you guys tried playing through it, and have you had success? Like I said, it's really depending upon your internet connection and how well it streams to your location. But yeah, let me know how you guys went through it. What's your experience? And if you guys have any questions, let me know. Post them down in the comments. For if you're new here, either hit like or dislike, and let me know if you like the content or not, so I know what future content to make. And yeah, other than that, guys, have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.